layoffs every year. I expected everyone to have lifetime employment because that's what my family said we would have. And I thought that Pittsburgh was a place that you moved to, not that you moved from. See, the only people I knew when I was a kid were my family, because most of us, when we're 7, we don't have a huge social network. And mine consisted of, well, just my family, and nobody in my family ever left. They moved to Pittsburgh and they stayed there. Now, the story my grandfather tells is that back in about 1920 or so, he and his sister and their parents boarded a steamship in Ireland and headed out for a new adventure and a better life to go someplace where the Industrial Revolution was taking hold and they didn't have to be potato farmers anymore. They thought the idea of having a steel mill or a coal mine job seemed way better for their family's future than what they had in Ireland. So they boarded a ship and headed out on their massive journey to come to America. And about halfway across the Atlantic, my grandfather says, I met this amazing woman and her brothers and sisters. They were the best thing I had ever come across on the ship. And it was love at first sight. As soon as my eyes gazed, I knew that your grandmother's brother was meant to be with me. He was 9. 9-year-olds love 9-year-old boys, right? And so the McKeever clan and the McClintock clan all of a sudden became intertwined. And it just happened that those two families were moving to the same part of Pennsylvania. They moved to this little town about 20 miles south of Pittsburgh called Monongahela, which is where I kind of grew up. And Monongahela is as quaint as it is hard to spell. But it's an amazing place that is really built upon the bedrock of the coal industry and the steel industry. And nobody ever leaves. Now, my grandparents, of course, at 9 years old, weren't a thing yet. And about a decade later, all of a sudden, my grandfather realized one day, hey, this little girl that's always hanging around, that's my best friend's sister, she's kind of cute. And all of a sudden, James Norval and Mary Eliza became a thing and became the foundation of my family. Well, when you grow up in a place like Monongahela, there aren't a lot of jobs out there. And my grandfather's the only person that I know who at one point in his life decided to leave the rough, dangerous world of being a coal miner for the relative safety of working in a steel mill. That's the kind of family I grew up with. Their house was built on top of a hill, and underneath it was an abandoned coal mine. So as a kid, where do you think I wanted to play? We played tag, and we played hide and go seek in the coal mine. Because nothing bad can happen with a bunch of kids in a coal mine. And we would come home, and we'd go to our family's houses, and I remember my grandmother used to stand me up against the wall by the garage, strip me down naked, pull out the hose, and make me do like the flash dance as she hosed me off with just this one piece of advice. Don't tell your mother. So that was my childhood. It was this amazing eclectic experience being able to